Well, I'm here a little later than usual, and this is the 1950s and how it was sold to Generation X. We are going to go into perhaps a deep dive into how people like Joey and I, were sold the 1950s. I started off a song. This one is called Was It Wine and Roses? And that's a question. Here we go.
Let's hear it.
Daddy talked about the roller rinks, leather jackets and sock hops, don't you think? Said the days were bright, neon lights that glow, but beneath the surface, shadows start to show. Mom would whisper about the kitchen floor, linoleum dreams, but struggling at the core, cooking meals from cans, stretching every dime in a land of plenty, yet running out of time. Was it wine or roses, a thorny paths they trod? Behind them smiles, look the feelings are polished chrome and pastel dreams. Silent whispers in the night ain't always what it seems. Was playing ball under sunny skies while the Cold War danced with atomic lights. Segregation's chains hiding in plain sight. Not all was free in the land of might. Televised dreams of black and white, family dinners and sleepless nights. Mama staying home, yet restless in her mind, dreaming of a world she could never find. Was it wine or roses, a thorny paths they trod? Behind them smiles, like the feelings are polished chrome and pastel dreams. Silent whispers in the night ain't always what it seems. Was it wine and roses, or thorny paths they trod? Behind them smiles, like the feelings are polished chrome and pastel dreams. Silent whispers in the night ain't always.
All right, Joey. Any word on that song? Any thoughts about the 1950s and how it was sold to folks like you and me and Bobby McGee?
Right. Of course, Janis Joplin would come around in the next decade, and and as another piece of the psychological damage that they were creating using rock music, which in the 1950s were about the bebops, and there was a lot of partying going on, but we were sold a generation that was the happiest, the brightest, the most influential, active, political minded. All of it was just wine, cheese, and roses. And as I think you and I have kind of aged a bit, I think we've seen the more of the truth of the matter, and actually. A lot of the things a lot of the debt we're paying for now started pre-1950s, but the 50s were such an idealistic time in mythological history that I think we have a we still have a perception because of things like Happy Days.
Oh yeah, Happy Days was just a really, it was really kind of a big deal, and we thought life was a lot more simpler and easygoing. But the truth is, even though it was better than the Depression, it was far like people had to do a lot more manual labor and hard labor than they did than they do today, and they did in the 1980s. You know. And
yeah, well, the 80s we know was a party. It was the biggest party ever. There was cocaine and plenty of money to support the habit, and there was a lot of money and play money.
Oh yeah,
there's another bill we're still paying on, but the 80s, if you lived it through it like we did, it was a blip. It was a blip on the radar, right? It was here and it was gone.
Yeah.
The 50s was a much cleaner in mythological history. The 50s were such a clean time. I found out later that there was a lot of heroin abuse. There was actually a lot of drugs going around already.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it had already cycled through society earlier than that, but the 50s was certainly not as tidy of a joint as we expected, or as we were taught.
Yeah,
I think we were programmed. What do you think? Do you think we were programmed? What do you got?
We were definitely programmed, Joey. And I just want to play this. This is the first. I think in the late 1960s, a group called Sha Na Na came out, and there just became a wish for like simpler and more easygoing times. And a lot of people like myself believe that the 1950s ended with the death of John F. Kennedy. And so it was actually as far as the cultural decade is concerned. And I wanted to just show the movies that were kind of popular at that time that were nostalgic for that time. And the first one that I want to do is American Graffiti. We'll play this and then we'll talk about it.
American Graffiti. Where were you in '62?
Special one and jump into your candy-colored custom or your screaming machine, cruise downtown and catch American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Baby, what's that?
It's a movie.
And you dig it, and you dig it.
Go back in time.
Where were you in '62?
Is that you in that beautiful car? Jeez, what a waste of machinery.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around 10 o'clock tonight.
What did you say? Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
And I bet you're smart enough to get us some brew.
A ballpoint pen, pint of Old Harbor.
They got an ID for the liquor?
No, I left it in the car.
You'll have to get it before.
Oh, well, I forgot the car.
We're finally getting out of this turkey camp. You just can't stay 17 forever.
You ever get tired of going to date with somebody that ain't around? I'm up for grabs.
If I had a boyfriend, he'd pound you.
20 run. Here's my
What's wrong?
Go to hell.
Get your boogadoos out, baby. The Wolfman is everywhere. 16 candles.
Now, Joey, I don't want to play the whole darn trailer.
You can't get much more 50s than Richie Cunningham, though.
Oh, no. And that also kind of started... the movie, the TV show Happy Days. And, we saw that show every night, the Fonz, and that life was simpler. And that was, that was a portion of the 1950s, but that wasn't, that was not just, that was not the only portion of the 1950s. But I was too young to see that in the theaters. My parents watched it. My dad loved it because it kind of, it was a really good piece of nostalgia. Now here's one that I'm sure both of you and I both saw when we were kids, just like Star Wars. This was like a movie that had like multiple things, and that movie is Grease. Joey, do you remember seeing this film as a kid?
I sure did. I loved these movies, by the way. Any movie with hot rods was incredible to me.
Yeah.
And, I like these. American Graffiti was really interesting. When I was a kid, I loved it.
Let's play that trailer, shall we?
John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Grease, the Broadway smash that made theatrical history by becoming one of the longest-running musical comedies of all time, breaks loose on the motion picture screen.
I was just thinking about something. If you could pause it for a quick second.
Yeah. What's that, Joey?
So, and I heard Quentin Tarantino talking about this, and it really triggered some thoughts of mine. And that is, kids like you and me, we had parents that were probably a little bit older than most of our peers.
Yeah.
Well, my dad was, at least. But you and I were both, one thing we have in common is we were both allowed to watch R-rated movies and a wider array of movie, whatever we wanted, really, at a young age. And, I didn't really put it together until I heard Tarantino talking about this, that, he would go to school with a certain sort of almost like an arrogance over the other kids because, he was known as a movie fan and whatever, but I think he carried with him like a little bit wider scope of how people interact and just emotional stuff. And, if you're like me looking for like whatever you can that wasn't of my age, older films and older themed films, especially, it came with a really kind of interesting sort of gravitas or some sort of edge, I guess. I don't know what it was, but I was seeing a lot of like kind of advanced movies for my age at the time, and I think it helped in some ways. Did you have that?
To a degree, it did help a little bit more sophistication, but there were other, like, if I would have gotten rid of the other problems with my family, I would have certainly substituted that to kind of a normal, kind of like a normal, rational parent.
Right. And that may be the big difference between our families and Quentin's.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Quentin's parents were rational either, or normal or rational themselves. So with me, it, like I said, it came with advantages, but it also came with very large disadvantages. And the disadvantages, to a degree, as far as human growth is concerned, came with far more disadvantages than advantages.
Maybe our parents thought that we just learned from the movies, and as a surrogate over their their responsibilities to have to parent. I don't know.
Well, no, my father learned from the movies. He had a very traumatic childhood himself, and he got a lot of his values from cinema. I mean, he also got some values from life, but he learned a lot of wrong lessons, in my opinion. Now, I want to go to a much darker film, and this does take place in the 1950s, but it's not, it's not a nostalgia film. It's a film about parental abuse, stepfather abuse. This movie is called This Boy's Life. And to a degree, my father mimicked some of the behavior, not all of it. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of close.
I'm not sure I saw this.
This is this is an interesting film. So let's play it real quick.
He violated school property, and he wrote obscene words on the wall.
She thought he needed a father.
This isn't working. And on top of it all, you've gone wild. I can't handle it anymore, and it scares me.
He thought she needed a husband.
Sure got crappy taste in boyfriends.
Which is just about the time they met Dwight.
Here I am, you lucky people.
Dwight!
People can call me anything they want as long as they don't call me late for supper.
What a dope. I talked to Dwight the other day, and he wants you to live with him for a few months.
So what are you gonna do, just give me away to him?
Well, if you two get along, and if things work out, he and I might get married.
You're in for a change, mister. You're in for a whole nother ball game.
Think of it like an adventure.
We're gonna make a man of you yet.
Jackie! Jackie! I hate it here, you know that?
You'll have to loot up the damn toothpaste again.
That's not fair!
This is my house, and I get to say about the toothpaste.
How come you never take up for me, huh?
Why the hell don't you ever help me straighten that damn boy out?
I will not referee!
Warner Brothers presents Academy Award winner Robert De Niro.
He's crazy, I'm leaving!
Oh, I'm so scared, I'm so scared, I'm so scared! Oh!
Ellen Barkin.
I could leave with you right now, couldn't I?
Yes, you could.
Oh, you're not leaving. You're not leaving.
This Boy's Life. The triumphant story of one boy's struggle to be free.
I'm going where that.
Now, that had the line "Kill or Cure," and it was like I said, it was kind of a gripping story of childhood abuse.
I will have to check that one out. I don't know how that slipped through. I think I confused it with that one, A Dog's Life, or what was it called? The one with the guy from Miami Vice, Johnson.
Oh, that
A Boy's Life, I think it was called, or My Dog's Life. God, what is that called? Anyways, it was an apocalyptic film.
Oh yeah, I mean, A Boy and His Dog.
A Boy and His Dog. There you go. I think I got that confused with this movie.
Now, I never saw this film. My brother got a free thing to this, and he walked out of it.
What is it?
The movie was called The Last Exit to Brooklyn.
Okay, I've heard of it. Never saw it.
Yeah. And it does show the ugly side of the 1950s, the poverty and the struggle. So,
sure, the New Deal hadn't really started helping everyone yet. It was certainly there were a lot more jobs. But
the thing is, the 1930s, they got the New Deal. In the 1950s, yeah.
The 1950s was feeling the impact, for sure. Yeah. But go on.
And like I said, poverty was far worse than today. And from my understanding, I used to have a much more rosier picture of the 1950s I don't anymore. It was certainly better than the 1930s for most Americans, but it was no bed of roses.
There's only one thing we can do. We stand up, we look them in the eye, and we tell them right to their fat faces, fuck you!
Was this movie maybe
I almost forgot.
that was Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he did the music and acted a bit. But you know what? I couldn't help but think of Escape from New York. Well, is that kind of a precursor to Escape from New York? John
Well, I
Carpenter?
mean, it certainly takes place in the 1950s, and the film just had, there was an offensive scene in there that my brother ended, and it just people started walking out of it. My brother got a pass to the movie, one of those pass to the films, and people just walked out of it. I mean, it was
like a screening pass.
And there was, I guess, a scene where a guy tries to, come on to a kid, and that's when people started to walk out. I mean, and it was extremely bleak and very violent film. And I think I might take a look at it though, just because, I'm more prepared for it. Sometimes if you're not prepared for something, then you're not necessarily, then it can pull the rug out from under you. And you got to be prepared for things oftentimes before. And I don't think my brother was prepared. I don't think I would have been prepared for it as well. Joey, I'm going to play another. Yeah.
For me, the 50s were an interesting time because I came around later, but my family was rooted in the 50s, and some key members to the family died suddenly in the late 50s. And it was a tough time. There was a lot of infighting between family members about politics and where the country was headed. And I think it kind of came to a head in the 50s, and it certainly was a setup for disaster in my family for sure.
Well, now, Joe, your family were they in the East Coast? Were they in New York at the time, or like in the 1950s, or were they here in California?
No. My dad was born in Brooklyn, and he had moved. The family moved here when he was 8, so that would have been the middle. Actually, the early 40s. They had already kind of started their pilgrimage to California. So, yeah.
Now, I was going to ask, were your family involved in the Red Scare? Like, was there any like issues about communism and stuff like that?
That's probably a huge dividing line. I think they were more just kind of trying to be American. You know, they were European. They came here in the early 1900s, and I think they were just trying to get a grip on politics. They weren't savvy, and they weren't part of that.
Yeah, because I mean, those Americans,
communism deal, but they. I think my grandfather was a bit of a sucker for some of the New Deal offerings and benefits that came with some of the social welfare programs. But he had a lot of children, and they would fight.
Yeah, a lot of Americans were basically, bought into the New Deal and even bought into communism. And the thing is, American communists were funded, from my understanding, by the Soviet Union, and American communists gave away our military secrets. And today, for the most part, American communists are often seen as kind of empathetic and sympathetic, when in reality it was a lot more nuanced. And again, some of these individuals were not, they were not the innocent puppy dogs that people claim. Like leftists today, a lot of them are very violent and very vicious people. Anyway, Joey, let's play.
My grandfather was a farm. He raised pigeons, for one, and he would take children in. So we had at least my sister and I had uncles that we weren't sure if they were our cousins or if they just came from other we had no idea who these people were. And because of the big gap in age, my dad being the youngest of 8, and the oldest of the 8 dying suddenly in the 1950s was pretty traumatic. And by the late 60s, the family was just already kind of decimated, and really feeling the effects of these social welfare programs. And so yeah, they were kind of bought in to a lot to the benefits that were really just starting to crush America. It was crushing my family way before it crushed America. So I kind of saw this coming. But
and that's an interesting perspective, Joe. My family, both on my mother's side and my father's side, were very skeptical about any form of public assistance, and their belief is I'll eat dirt before I accept anything from the government. And I think that may be kind of the way to go. Anyway, I'm going to play this Guilty by Suspicion, and then I'll get into why I think that it is a form of propaganda about the Hollywood blacklist. Anyway, let me play this real quick.
I want you to make this picture for me, David.
but we got a problem.
We do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do. Zanuck wants your name cleared as soon as possible. So what's your name cleared of what?
Your profession is that of a film director, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Our clients have reputations to uphold, are very careful about, who they're associated with.
So am I.
Mr. Merrill, are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Now, Graff has asked the committee to give you this opportunity to explain your past affiliations.
Well, there's nothing to explain. I went to a couple of meetings. That's it.
Your affiliations and those of others.
What others?
In 1951, the House Committee on Un-American Activities stole the nation's headlines
They're looking to get the picture in the paper, and Hollywood gets it there.
by attacking the creative community of Hollywood
You do what Zanuck said. I did do what he said.
You didn't pull a picture.
through a campaign of censorship.
We need to protect this country from the ideas that they're spreading through their films and their television shows.
And fear.
Is it gonna kill you?
Nobody's gonna kill me.
That's what they do to the Reds.
In whose homes did those Communist Party meetings take place?
Don't you have an ounce of decency? I need permission to use your name, David. You want my permission to inform on me?
In whose homes were some of these meetings held?
Why don't you just give them what they want, David?
All my friends. Gone. I'm being followed by the FBI everywhere I go.
You're dead, David. D-E-A-D, dead.
I want to know how many communists you knew. I want to know how many you know. I want to know how many you've worked with. I want to know their names.
Well, Joey, again, the Red Scare, in my opinion, is still a lot more complex than we care to acknowledge, and that's the one thing.
Complex or maybe prevalent. It's a lot more prevalent, I think, than people realize. When I see, what comprises of the left and their horrific narratives, and not that I feel the right's doing a whole lot better, but yeah, they've certainly they've had a chance to kind of make good on their promises, and they've just completely turned the tables on a lot of people. They've alienated a whole lot of people in the process.
Yeah. Well, the left kind of proves that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, if you look on what's going on with these social media companies that, by the way, were meant to be, part of the information superhighway, but you get some of these far left ideological leftists out there, and they want to control the morale. They want to control the narrative to push their moral beliefs on the rest of us, and they will lie to do so. And the Marxists back then, I believe, did the same thing. They also had a blacklist. All the things that they accused the anti-communists of doing, they were going to do themselves. And they, from my understanding, they were going to do it first. And they were very vicious. They were not a bunch of choir boys. As I said it again, they were paid for by the Soviet Union, and they gave away our military secrets. You may have different opinions on that, but that's, one of the things that they were caught doing by our government. And now they believe everything that, nowadays it's kind of different. They believe everything that our government is telling us. Before, the leftists were all skeptical, like, can we talk about it? Like when the Vietnam War was going on, the liberals were like, hey, we want to, like, why are we there? And they'd be, and the right would accuse them of, being a Russian asset. Now, if you question the war in Ukraine, you're considered a Russian asset.
We have gone in and out of those division lines. I think we've I think that was the biggest scare of maybe the summer of love and kind of that movement where in the late 60s people were actually coming together, and that was too much for either side to really want to promote, and that just might be my perspective, but we could have maybe held on to that a little longer and fought a better fight. But I think people rolled, and then and like you said, believed a lot of the nonsense, and since then we've just been barraged with the division bells, and I think that's the biggest problem. Is people back then were more likely to probably cross sides just to engage in some meaningful conversation, whereas now we don't even get that. We've been censored out of conversations. What's going on? Easier said with Meg. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I just came across someone who grew up in the 1950s. Back in the day, he would smoke. He was a kid, and he would is Pepe. And he would basically smoke his candy cigarettes and play with his toy guns. And he might want to give us a perspective on the good old days, unless I end this show. So I brought.
When you say good old days, you ain't joking with him. Like that is the old perspective. The old world meets the new world with that guy.
Yeah. This historic progress after the Great Depression and World War II, the 1940s and the 1950s was real and great. Also, the 1960s mod and sold us music, golden music too. The kids now have no idea. I'll say this. Again, there were absolutely good parts of those days, but to a degree, oftentimes we're sold a bill of propaganda that is not always true. And, that's true. There is a one-income family, but poverty, from my understanding, poverty was far worse. And a lot of Americans did do, like manual and what is done by a lot of our immigrants. Today,
civil rights and women's rights are much better now.
Yeah,
I think I have a lot to say with that, and I won't disagree because I think it's right to some extent. But there's when you start to look at the words, and words have meaning.
Yeah,
you start to see a little bit more another intricately woven battle for the mind, if you will. So yeah, I've seen a lot of perspectives like that, and the one that always kind of upsets me is, you got Jim Morrison here crying out against the system, and meanwhile his dad, Admiral Morrison, was part of the mess that got us into the Gulf of Tonkin.
Oh yeah.
So you get an interesting dynamic there, and a lot of the Laurel Canyon bands, had military connections or family members. So yeah, a lot of it as much as good as that music was, it just doesn't sit right with me anymore, and I have a problem with it. But yeah, you can't argue with the fact that it was better music. It was.
Yeah. Leave classmate Jim alone. He was from my town. Ah.
Yeah, he lived over here. Yeah, we're in Southern California, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Morrison. Yeah, the 1960s. But there was also a bill of goods sold to us as well, and I think I'll get into like how Generation X was sold in the 1960s. Although we really didn't buy into we were more. The 1980s was much more of a 1950s nostalgia than it was a 1960s. We were not into the hippie look. We were cutting our hair.
Yeah.
And, clean shaven.
Buzz cuts did come back during that time. Flat top haircuts.
Flat top haircuts, yeah. All that stuff. I mean,
rolling up your sleeves and your and the pants and wearing penny loafers. That was all part of the 80s, that 80s, 50s kind of flashback connection.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I talked, I talked to a guy too, and because I always think, the free love and there was sex all around, and that's kind of a myth too. I mean, women were picky, and if you were a good looking hippie, you got some love. But if not, you were out of luck, man. You didn't get anything.
Right.
It's like today,
Right. If you weren't going to one of Zappa's hippie stores on Sunset with the most trendy clothes and the long hair and et cetera, et cetera. And again, a lot of these families, Zappa's included, had military connections. We got a Dr.
Boomer. Let's get him on here.
Dr.
Boomer, and I think Dr. Boomer was once part of Sha Na Na. I could be wrong. Dr. Boomer, have you been listening? And what say you about the 1950s?
Yes, and were you Bowser?
Well, I was born in the 30s, but I lived through the 50s, though.
You sound like a crappy old pizza.
Yeah.
I've had pizza. I eat pizza.
Manja.
So you were almost ready to be a parent back in the 1950s. Now, did you smoke a lot of cigs back in the day?
Yes, lots. 2 packs a day.
Oh, those were the days. Now, did the kids want to be a chip off the old block? And did you give them candy cigarettes as a kid and say you want to be like your old man?
As a matter of fact, yes, I did. They were little. They were like chalk with a little red on the tips. Yeah, made it appear as if you were smoking it. Yes. Yeah.
They wanted to be just like
those. So you two knucklehead. I mean, you two boys remember that, right?
You know what? They still had candy cigarettes back in the day. And, and my father being into old movies, I wanted to be like, Humphrey Bogart.
Did you ever smoke in the theaters? Did you ever smoke in theaters?
No. Did they allow that in the movie theaters?
No, but I smoked anyway.
You're lucky no one kicked you out of there, for God's sake. You're supposed to, back in those days.
Yes, we used to drink beer too, little bottles of beer, and then put them in between the seats and you could hear it roll down. Because we would sit in the front, and the bottle would roll towards the back row. That's where everybody used to make out, was in the back row.
Yeah. Now, how often did you go into the movie theater and open the emergency exit for your army buddies all to come in?
Almost every day, almost every time I went to the theater.
Yeah. Yeah, and they say if you buy just a few things of popcorn, the usher won't kick you out. Because look, I already paid a strong nickel for your popcorn. How cheap were the movies back then? How much did they cost? That was too expensive for your.
If you were under 12, it was 15 cents, and adult was 25.
Oh man. Oh yeah, it was a cost of a video game.
I'm sure Joey could have afforded it back to those, because he's a financial wizard from what he's fine. He's Mr. Finance.
I'm Mr. Finding My Way, but I don't have too many tech stocks.
By the way, did you see? I found your placenta. You saw that?
Oh, no, I have not seen that.
But by the way, Joey does.
Look at your Skype. I took a photo of your placenta while I was on vacation.
I'll take a look.
Yeah.
For anyone listening, I have been looking for my placenta. Dude, where's my placenta? But maybe you found it.
I found it. I found it, though. I found it. They're selling it, by the way. They're selling it in boxes. Beautiful red boxes.
No,
no, don't laugh. Don't laugh. It's not a joke. I seriously found your placenta.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Boomer, your father, I think, was a World War I vet and had his, and still had his. Do you still have his doughboy uniform?
He was in the Civil War.
Oh yes.
All right. So
those were the good old days.
Those were the
good old days. Slavery.
Oh, give me a break.
And he lived through the original pandemic. The 1919 pandemic.
Yeah. I heard. I heard by the way that the great, what is it? The Babe Ruth caught it twice.
He did. He caught it. He caught a couple of times. He caught it, and they had vaccines. They had vaccines back then.
They even had vaccines back then. I've never heard that.
Yes, they did. They did. It was. I believe it was a combination of Ozempic and one of those other drugs that they have on the market. So, Joey, did you see your placenta in Skype?
I'm bringing it up. Yeah. Oh boy. Let's see. Yeah. I was going to say there was a great movie. One of my favorite movies is The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. If you haven't seen it,
there was there was a Twilight Zone kind of like that too, about the last guy. And he broke his glasses, and he loved to read, but his glasses broke, and he couldn't read books. He was the last guy on. So it was a Twilight Zone episode. Did you like Rod Serling, by the way? Were you a Rod Serling fan?
Serling or Sterling?
Either one. Listen, don't pick it. Don't pick.
By the way, he was also a heavy smoker.
Play along. I don't call in that often. Play along. I don't call in that often. Okay.
I love Rod Serling. I did. I loved everything.
He was also a heavy smoker, like Dr. Boomer. But Dr. Boomer was able to live longer than Rod Serling, and he was also able to live longer than Humphrey Bogart.
I'm wondering if when you sit alone in a sterile room, do you ever cough up nicotine from your lungs?
I don't think there are such things as sterile rooms. Where would I find the sterile room to experiment with?
I don't know. As your age, to a lot of doctors' offices.
Where do you come up with this shit? I'd like to know. Where do you come up with this crap?
I saw your picture, and yes, those Asians know how to eat.
Now, by the way, I've heard that you have gone to an Asian barber and gotten the best haircut of your life.
Yes,
and shape.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. You know what? I watch these things, by the way.
She almost cut my throat. She almost cut my throat, but I got up. I just got up at the right.
You look
time.
like an old GI, for Yakamoto.
She was yelling "Banzai" as she was finishing up.
But
amazing that you still have enough hair to actually,
and she was yelling "Die Babe Ruth, die!" She was yelling "Die Babe Ruth, die!"
Die!
Die Babe Ruth, die! She was yelling. Do I have enough hair? I think I can compete with Joey on the hair issue here. I have
Oh, yeah.
dandruff. Joey wishes he had dandruff.
I sure do. I wish I had dandruff. I wish I had gray, long hairs. I don't care. But no, it's not here.
I know. I'm now a believer. I've come over to your side. All this drama that I've been seeing in the news, this is all done by actors. I'm a firm believer.
I can't believe what I'm hearing right now.
Well, he may have changed over a new leaf. But let me. What was I going to bloviate about?
I don't know.
I think my diabetes is giving way to dementia. I might do a.
By the way,
yes.
By the way, I was in Asia, and there are many types of toilets there. I don't think the squatting one would have been for you, but the bidet, you would have loved the bidets. I remember Joey cleaning your toilet. I think I have a photo of it somewhere stored in my
it was moldy.
It was moldy, but in Asia that would not happen. That would not happen in Asia.
They have very good self-cleaning toilets, and I understand that Japan is the most automated nation on the face of the earth, and I think we're going to go to that as we start to minimum wage and other things start to creep up there. Now,
it's the hottest place on the planet. Did you know that? Right at this moment,
Japan.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
True. That's true. It's true. It's 41 Celsius there. I believe they registered the highest temperature since they started recording those statistics.
Is it hotter than when when Truman dropped the bomb?
No, I don't. I think that was a pretty hot day, to be honest. I don't think they were measuring. Which bomb? What are you speaking of, by the way? There were two bombs.
I was thinking of the A bomb that he dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Or the H bomb. Was it the H or the A?
I think it was a heat bomb.
It was the A bomb. It was the atomic bomb. The H bomb didn't come out until later. That's the hydrogen bomb.
Allegedly.
Yes. Allegedly. Yes, it was a fake. It was a fake bomb.
Yeah. By the way,
those were actors. Those were actors. I don't believe the bomb was really.
Nagasaki.
Would you agree, Joey? Joey, that was fake, wasn't it?
Nagasaki was overgrown with plant life within 10 years, so I don't think it was.
Well, there's a reason for that, Joey.
Of course.
Well, the bomb was not dropped at ground level, Joey.
Half-life is not what we were told it was.
Well,
half-life or full life? Are you living a full life, by the way?
To the ultimate extremes, yes. Sometimes burning the candle.
Is it because you wore masks and vaxxed?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. By the way, I heard that there was a large typhoon when the dropping of Nagasaki happened that decimated.
Well, there was a typhoon when I moved to South Korea. So
did you know? By the way, here's a tidbit tidbit. Is there a better word than tidbit, Joey? You're a writer. A tidbit. There were 12 servicemen that died during the bombing of Hiroshima. Did you know that? 12 American airmen died. Yes.
Well, there were bombs that went off, but I don't.
They were prisoners of war, and there were 12 U.S. airmen that died during that event. If you believe that event happened.
I wish I could have shaken their hands before they got dusted.
I wish you could have been there.
Hey guys, anything? I think I'm going to end this puppy. Anything to say before
Well, yes. There's lots of things to say. Lots of things. I want to say that thank you for having me on today's.
It's so good to hear your voice.
Yeah,
never thought I'd say that.
We're going to do another show on. I think we're going to do another show on the propaganda of the diet industry and the addiction industry.
We got some great ones for that. I cannot wait.
Can we bring my good friend Howard back on for the next show?
If you can control his mouth.
You know what? Howard is an obese man, and he loves to talk about food. So he might be the perfect person. But we will. We will
off one strike, so we cannot get another strike, or else we'll.
By the way, may I make a few other comments before you shut this puppy down? Joey should thank me for the placenta. I found matter of fact, one time while I was in Mexico, I found a street called Pelicano for him, and remember? Yes, I did, and I also found the placenta for him.
Yeah. So, I'm glad you're where's Waldo, where's JP, and I'm glad that you thought of me enough to take a picture. That's actually kind of funny.
You know, I'm thinking about having a seppuku museum online, just the honor
By
of
the
that.
way, may I mention that the Chinese are taking over the world, and it's sad to see that happening. That they're all over. They're like ants, and they must be multiplying by the millions.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can either complain about it or you can find a way to deal with it. And I try to give everyone respect first, and then they earn my disrespect. Now, I'm going to end out on a song.
May I say, vote for RFK Jr. A vote for RFK Jr. is a vote for
RFK Jr. I've got a song I want you to hear.
Okay, play my song.
I got it queued up. Let me play it real quick.
Is it nasally? Is it nasally? Will it be nasally?
I hope so. I hope. Here it goes.
You know, oh no.
Just listen.
The baddest man in the whole damn town, placenta man. Placenta man. You are ugly and 92 chromosome monster. They couldn't leave you any longer. They dried me, and you smoked me in your bonger, placenta man.
Okay, there we go.
All right, Joey, I'm gonna end this out on. And this is for Dr. Boomer. It's about quitting smoking. It's called "Quitting the Craving." I just wrote it just now, with with beautiful help from our beautiful community.
Beautiful.
Head's feeling right, craving lurks in the gray. Wanna make it right. Ashes in the air, memories ignite. But I'm trying to care about a clean new sight. Craving still, I fight. Hold back, don't ignite. Breathing free tonight in the clear daylight. Handshake, heart pounds, temptation's close at hand. But I'm standing my ground, gonna make a stand. Craving still, I fight. Hold back, don't ignite. Breathing free tonight in the clear daylight. One day at a time, steps more and more. Every mountain I climb, gonna make it right. Craving still, I fight. Hold back, don't ignite.
All right, guys, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on either our X pages or our YouTube channels.
Yes,
Thank you for listening. Yes.